Picture this, the glorious sunshine, that famously relaxed lifestyle, maybe a beautiful terrace overlooking the Mediterranean. It is the ultimate dream, right? And you know, every single year, thousands of international families absolutely make it happen. But here's the hard truth. Every year, a lot of other people make totally avoidable mistakes that cost them time, serious money, and just enormous stress. The difference between a dream come true and a total financial nightmare almost always comes down to two things: proper preparation and having the exact right people around you. So in this explainer, we are building your ultimate insider's survival guide so you can avoid those pitfalls and safely make that Spanish dream a reality.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. First, the Spanish property reality. Then, navigating agents and viewings, the legal must-haves, the step-by-step purchase process, budgeting for hidden costs, and wrapping up with getting it right first. Starting with Section 1, the Spanish property reality. It is absolutely crucial to understand right off the bat that the system in Spain is vastly different from what you might be used to back home.
If you've ever bought property in the UK, Ireland, the US, or Canada, you are probably used to unified systems and traditional property chains. While buying in Spain is a completely different ballgame. For starters, there are no property chains in the traditional sense. The market is also highly fragmented, and the paperwork trail, it's split across multiple registries and government bodies. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. So a property might look absolutely pristine on the surface, but a split paperwork trail could actually be hiding deaths, unlicensed extensions, or planning violations. Now, these differences aren't meant to scare you away. They just highlight exactly why having independent, professional support in Spain is an absolute necessity, not a luxury.
Moving on to Section 2, navigating agents and viewings. Who you choose to work with early on can literally make or break your property search.
So here's the thing. In Spain, theoretically, anyone can set themselves up as an estate agent. There's no single regulated body overseeing everything, so the quality of service varies enormously. Generally, you're going to encounter three main types of professionals. First, traditional estate agents. Remember, they represent the seller, not you. Second, buyer's agents who actually work on your behalf. And third, professional property finders who search the entire market and curate the absolute best options for you using their private networks. And here is a massive trap you want to avoid. If you start contacting multiple agents all by yourself, many of them will just log you into shared databases. Without even knowing it, you can trigger these hidden commission disputes between agents, which means they might straight up refuse to show you certain properties. To avoid that whole mess entirely, your best bet is working with a single, independent professional property finder from day one.
And this brilliantly illustrates a classic pressure tactic. Another couple is interested and viewing tomorrow. We've all heard some variation of this, right? While occasionally it might be true, in a market where properties can sit for months on end, this urgency is usually entirely manufactured. Do not let pressure override your good judgment. Take all the time you need to make a sound decision. Here is another incredibly practical insider tip for your viewings. Beware of freshly painted walls. In Spain, homes aren't typically dressed up or staged for sale like they are in other countries. So if an older property has been freshly painted inside, well, it might just be a nice gesture from the seller, or it could be hiding damp, cracks, or structural issues. Always, always ask to visit the property a second time. Ideally, do this without the agent hovering around, and at a completely different time of day. A spectacular sunset view might be amazing, but finding out there's a noisy quarry operating next door at 7 a.m. or crazy rush hour traffic will completely change your perspective.
All right, Section 3, the legal must-haves. Let me be incredibly clear here. Hiring your own bilingual, independent lawyer is completely non-negotiable. And yes, that applies even if you are getting a mortgage and your lending bank is doing its own checks. Remember, the bank is protecting its own asset, not yours.
Your independent lawyer has a very strict checklist they need to follow. They must check the Registro de la Propiedad to confirm ownership and see if there are any outstanding debts. They must verify local council records for urban development plans or any planning objections. They have to cross-reference the physical property with the cadastro records to catch any unofficial, unlicensed extensions. And finally, they absolutely must check for inheritance claims. Basically, your lawyer has to guarantee in writing that the property is completely free of all charges, mortgages, and competing ownership claims.
Now, a lot of buyers get super nervous when asked to hand over power of attorney. But a smart power of attorney actually makes your life significantly smoother, especially if you aren't based in Spain full-time. The trick is surprisingly simple. Once the transaction is complete, you just take back the original document from the notary. In Spain, notaries only accept original documents, so without it, no one can do anything behind your back. Contrast this with risky practices like drawing up a hyper-specific document for just a single transaction. If one tiny detail is wrong on that paperwork, the document is worthless, and you are right back to square one. So be smart. Grant it, but keep the original.
Section 4. The step-by-step purchase process. Demystifying this timeline from offer to keys is the best way to keep your stress levels nice and low.
Here is your exact roadmap. Step 1. It starts with a verbal offer, usually negotiated by your property finder. The second that's accepted, you request the note to simple. Next, you pay a small holding deposit to officially take the property off the market while the legal checks happen. Step 4 is the big one, the contrato privado, the private contract. This is where things get real. You typically pay 10% of the purchase price here and become legally and contractually committed to the purchase. If you pull out without cause after this point, you lose your deposit. Finally, you head to the notary to sign the final deeds, the escritura, and you get your keys.
Now, what's really interesting to note about that second step is the notice simple. Think of it as the property's legal x-ray. You must request the short property registry document independently the absolute second your offer is accepted. It tells you exactly who owns the property and if there are any mortgages or hidden debts attached to it.
Section 5. Budgeting for hidden costs. All right, brace yourselves, because this is where a lot of foreign buyers get a nasty shock if they haven't planned properly.
10 to 13%. Yep, you heard that right. That is the massive hidden margin you absolutely must add to your initial headline budget to successfully complete a property purchase in Spain. To put that into perspective, if you see a beautiful house listed for 300,000 euros, you actually need to have roughly 340,000 euros available to make it yours.
So where on earth does all that extra money go? Well, the biggest chunk by far is taxes. That's either transfer tax on resale properties, which can range anywhere from 7 to 10% depending on your autonomous community, or it's VAT and stamp duty if you're buying a new build. The rest of that percentage goes towards your notary fees, land registry fees, and of course your lawyer's fees. Because those transfer taxes vary so much by region, it is absolutely vital that you get an exact, written estimate from your lawyer before you commit to anything.
Section 6. Getting it right first. Okay, you've signed the papers, you've paid the fees, you finally have the keys in your hand. What now? Well, welcome to the wildly frustrating bureaucracy of Spanish utilities. Setting up water, electricity, gas, and internet can honestly feel like an obstacle course. If your lawyer doesn't do this for you, do yourself a favor and hire a local specialist or a gestoria to save your sanity.
But there is one administrative task you absolutely cannot ignore, and that is registering on the padrón. This is the municipal census, and it is the absolute foundation of your official legal presence in Spain. You are going to need it for literally everything, from accessing public health care to enrolling your kids in school to even getting a local residence discount. So get on the padrón the minute you move in.
Buying property in Spain is completely achievable, and it really can be the start of the most extraordinary chapter of your life. But as we've seen throughout this explainer, it heavily rewards preparation and it punishes impatience. The real secret is simply choosing your professionals carefully. So if you are ready to find your dream home the safe way, I highly encourage you to book a consultation with Lisa Sadler. She's an incredibly experienced property finder at Family Life in Spain. With her network and her expertise, you can bypass all these headaches and focus entirely on the excitement of your new life. The Spanish sunshine is waiting for you. But the real question is, will you arrive fully prepared to enjoy it, or will you risk stepping into an avoidable financial trap? The choice and your preparation starts today.